Parasite Street. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that programme, of course, is Benefit Street, which has caused quite a stink in the British media over the past weeks. It's a programme which focuses on a deprived housing estate in Birmingham City in the Midlands. Parasite Street was a parody of sorts, set up to actually explain to people it's the richest, not the poorest people that are really cheating society to a much greater degree. Simple calculations show that through things like tax dodging, through banks that are too big to fail, through landlords renting back social housing to councils, and through bosses not paying their workers properly, it costs more than 50 times as much as benefit fraud does, which is a focus of the show.
You didn't have the big budgets of the mainstream media, so it's an interactive website.
That's right, yeah. It has an aerial view of one of the richest streets in London, and people can click on the different houses in the street to bring up a profile of who we can imagine might live there. I don't know whether all the people featured actually live on that street, but they could certainly afford to.
Do you think it'll change the minds of some 4 million people who watch that show, who some of them were tweeting death threats against, as you have it, the most vulnerable that are depicted in that show?
Quite, yeah. The reaction to it has been horrific, but of course this is a deliberate attempt by the media and the government to talk up the poorest, to deflect attention away from the richest. I'm in no doubt about that. And the site, I think, Parasite Street is helping to change that narrative. It's been shared now over 50,000 times on Facebook and over 10,000 times on Twitter. So we can imagine that it's playing its part in turning the debate.
Take us through some of the myths that you feel are propagated by shows like that, and indeed reporting more generally of how the taxpayer is being done by a certain proportion of society.
Well, the biggest myth is the scale of it. Of course, if you ask people in surveys, they imagine that something like 30–40% of the benefits budget is claimed fraudulently. Actually, the figure is only 0.7%. It's been this hysteria by the media, by certain sections of the media, encouraged by the current government, that has led people to having this totally distorted view of the facts. And the message that we really need to get across is that it's not, sure, benefit fraud is a problem. We should seek to eliminate it, but whilst also realising that these are often some of the most desperate people in our society. But the real problem is cheating by the rich, not the poor.